This is a 2001 Pontiac Aztek, and today we're going to be reviewing this and seeing if it is truly the worst car ever made. Debuting in 2001, the Pontiac Aztek was not well loved by the community and actually quite hated, being called the ugliest car ever made multiple times. But is it really the ugliest car ever made? You can make a strong case for it. So today I'm going to take you through this car, show you everything that it shows, everything that it has after owning this car for a year. I think I know this car pretty well, and I'll take you on a drive test. So the first thing I think we should show about the Aztek is its exterior styling, which a lot of people say is controversial, especially with this double grille design, where there are grills in the hood and then the down grille. It's just hideously ugly. You have these bulbous headlights that don't need to be bulbous, they're just bulbous. And then you have your fender mounted indicators. What were they thinking? You can tell this car was designed on a computer. And then the lower area of the car is covered in cladding, which was immediately removed in the first year of production because of how much people hated it. Aztek being in the cladding. They didn't actually remove the cladding, they just painted it, by the way. And then you have this hideously ugly discolored bumper. When we move around to more cladding on this weirdly bland trunk, or the rear section, weirdly bland. If it didn't have all these stickers on it, it would be horrible to look at. And then we move around, it's just, people say this car is hideous. I can see why. You have your gas filler not even covered up. And don't even talk about the interior here. Because if we move to the interior, we see this random grab handle sticking out of the dashboard, which is not very convenient because I'm normally grabbing up there when I'm riding in this car, not for the dashboard. I do have to say it does have a really good looking stereo, which is normal. The center console here is missing the buttons for the shifter. Gauges, they look pretty good. And of course the car does have a heads-up display, which I'll show you when driving. Right here is your heads-up display settings. Up here, we have our OnStar, we have our holders, I believe these are for sunglasses, yep. And then we have a garage door opener and a little net to keep your cell phone. And in the back, it's pretty bland except for the asymmetrical lump coming out of the roof that holds the middle seat belt. Overall, you can tell this car was designed on a computer. Okay, something that I do have to say is that the front seats of the Aztek are indeed quite comfortable. Like, this is really comfortable for a modern car. I don't normally do modern cars, but for a modern car, this is pretty comfortable. You have plenty of legroom under here, and your dashboard, or your glove box, should I say, you have it open like that, and then there's a second catch. You can push it down all the way for some reason. Not sure if you want to, like, stick your feet into the glove box, but you can do that if you want to. The air vents are also quite nice. If you can see these on camera, they have these spherical design, which means you can point them basically anywhere in the cabin. You got 4 of them across the front, 2 in the rear. I'll show you when we get to the rear. You know what? Let's go to the rear right now. Okay, stepping into the rear of the Aztek, we have to move a catalytic converter out of the way. And there is much less room back here than you would think there would be, because going between the seat and this pillar here, which you probably can't see because the door is probably blocking it, you have less than a foot of space. I'd say you have a good 8 inches there, which is really not enough to get your leg through. You have the nice nets in the back of the seats, which are pretty nice. And let's take a look at the rear controls here. So for rear controls, we have a 12-volt outlet down here, or rear features, should I say. We have a 12-volt outlet up here. We have more of these spherical vents, which these ones sometimes like to just spin around aimlessly, because the ones at the front are locked by those the closer things. These ones you can turn on and they will just spin around. It stopped doing that after a while though. Here we have radio controls for the rear. They do not control, the volume does not control the volume up front, which I'm kind of mad about because that was always fun. But the one back there does. And I had to drive 50 miles with someone sitting in the trunk of this thing and they were messing with the radio. That wasn't fun. Up here on the ceiling, we have our dome light. And then we have our coat hooks, which are integrated into the dome light, and I actually really like that. Rear seats are just as comfortable as the front seats, maybe even a bit more. Okay, now moving into the back of the Pontiac Aztek, we have not that many features you would think, but once you get in here, you have quite a bit of stuff. I'm gonna take you in for a closer look. So obviously, first of all, you have your rear hatchback or your tailgate, which has 2 seats and 2 cup holders in it. Pretty nice. And then over here, we have our cargo net cover. I'm not going to be pulling the cargo net out because I don't feel like putting it back in. Back here we have our jack. We have really nice Pioneer speakers, 2 of them. And then over here we have our, I think this is the air compressor, yeah. And then we have another 12-volt outlet with radio controls for the rear, which are very annoying because, as I said, I had to go 50 miles with someone in the back of this thing messing with the radio. Yeah, so overall, it's very spacious back here. It's so spacious that some of these actually came with a tent option. I'll put in a picture of that now, which basically clipped all along here and inside, and you could take the seats out and you'd have an air mattress that came with it. I don't have either of those. But I do have the cooler up front, which we should take a look at right now. Ah, yes, the famous Aztek cooler has quite a bit of room, and you can remove it and find the filthy mess down there that I have to clean out. I barely removed this cooler. Okay, so this vehicle has a ratcheting style parking brake, which basically means you push it and your parking brake is on, and there's no release up here. This is our hood release. I opened that because I need to show you the engine later. But in order to release the handbrake or the parking brake, just push it. Comes right back up. Which is really good because once you push it to release it, it's released automatically. So you can actually modulate your parking brake, like let's say if your brakes go out. I think that's a pretty good design actually. And yes, the part everybody's been waiting for, going under the hood, where we have a 3400 V6, famous for overheating and blowing head gaskets at like crazy at any time it wants. So it's not a very reliable engine. It overheats on me quite a bit, and that's kind of the reason I've sold the car already. Yes, I've already sold this thing. But yeah, so there we go. There's a 3400 V6, got about 175 horsepower, 0 to 60, and it doesn't really matter. It's a family SUV. It's not a sports car. Yeah, but yeah, everything is impossible to get. Like that thermostat down there was very hard. Yeah, quite a bit of stuff here. I think it's ready to take it for a test drive now. Alright, so we're driving the 2001 Pontiac Aztek, something I'm very used to doing. Oh yeah, these, as I'm mentioning here, these are horrible. They're the worst. The passengers in the back can grab your hair and pull it. I don't like that design. But let's go. Alright. Turn off the radio. Alright. So we got our heads-up display. I'll take a video of that soon. But this is nice. I mean, it's a modern car. It gets really bad gas mileage. I get like 14. But it's got VersaTrack all-wheel drive, so you wouldn't expect to get that great of mileage. Overall, it's not bad. And I just turned the wipers on when I turned the turn signal there because they're all on the same stalk. And I don't know how to turn them off. There we go. But yeah, it's a little loud in the back. But I think that's because I have a bearing or something wrong with the car. I've owned this car for about a year. I've been daily driving it for like 3 months alongside my MG. And in those 3 months, I have realized that I don't want this thing anymore. I am done with it. That was the bucket in the back. I've owned this car for a year. I bought this thing as a bucket list item because I had always wanted an Aztek. And now I have one. I've had one for a year. And now I don't have one anymore because I sold this thing this afternoon for $900. I paid $500 for it, so I don't mind that. I'm thinking about getting something to replace it, something British. But yeah, it's a nice driving car. The only issue is that it does overheat a little bit. Like if you're sitting in traffic, temperature will raise up. Occasionally it will go into red, but not really. It usually likes to stay around in the right above the red or right below the red. It won't go into the red. But overall, it's a pretty nice car. I mean, it doesn't deserve the hate that these cars get. It really doesn't, because it's nice. You know, it's a car of the early 2000s. They expect something brand new when it's not. I mean, it's got 85,000 miles on it. It's not a brand new car. I don't know why they hated these so much when they came out, because every other car looks like these. I'll put in some pictures of cars that look like Pontiac Azteks now. They all look like Azteks. But I'm looking down, I can see this really nice heads-up display. I mean, I got everything here. I mean, service vehicle soon light is on, of course. Check engine light. Well, every car should have a check engine light on. But yeah, this is a really nice car. But I don't have it anymore. I sold this thing this afternoon. And I'm getting something better to replace it. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching this review of the Pontiac Aztek. If you're interested in more of these, hit subscribe, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how to do that subscribe talk thing yet. But thanks for watching. I'm going to be driving this thing around some more.